In the last section, I worked on level 2. Let's go back to level 1 and make a couple of updates. We need to make sure that our level 1 works, and we should probably turn that player input manager into a prefab as well. We're going to be making changes to that along the way, and it should be its own prefab. So here I am in level 1. Let's start by just pressing play and see how things work and if there are any issues. So I hit play, hop on in, and start running around. And first, I'm already noticing that my player is not being tracked. If I jump, you can see that my player is not being followed by the camera. If I hit another controller and jump in though, let's see what happens. Oh, I get an error. And if I look down here, it says that the player prefab must be set in order to in order to spawn new players. So somehow my player prefab even got cleared out here in my player input manager. So let's go turn this into a prefab. Let's go into the prefabs folder. I'm going to take the player input manager. I'm going to drop it down into prefabs, and then I'm going to go assign the player prefab in the player prefab manager or player input manager. So I've got the player input manager selected down here. You can see it up here in the inspector, and I'll just take the player and drag it onto the player prefab spot. Now that I've got my player input manager updated, I should be able to see that the player is assigned in this one. And if I load up level 2, let's go right click on it and hit load scene. I should be able to see that my player input manager here is not using that prefab. And I can tell that it's not using that prefab because it's not blue. I'm going to right click on it, choose prefab, and hit replace. And then go find the player input manager. There it is. I'll double click on it and now it's blue. And I'm going to save and get both of my scenes saved off so that I don't have that star there. I'm going to remove level 2 again by right clicking and hitting unload so that it's there. I can access it and use it, but it's not loaded if I go to hit play right now. If I hit play, I'm just in level 1. I like to have both of my levels loaded sometimes and just go back and forth between them. This is a nice little trick. So here we go. I can run around and I'm still not tracked, but can I join with a new player? Yep, I can, and this new player is tracked. So why is this player not being followed? Well, let's take a look at him. Here's the player, or let's actually stop playing and play again so that we only have one player and see why he's not tracked. I think it'll be a little bit more confusing if we have the second player in there. So here we go. I run around and you can see that if I expand out the player, we have the camera here, but if you look down here, we still have that main camera in the root that we had from before. This is the camera that we drug into the player on level 2, but it wasn't any part of a prefab setup. So in level 1, we had a copy of that camera. So what we need to do is just delete that camera. Then my player will be followed and tracked around. I did that in play mode though, so I got to stop playing, go find that main camera, delete, and then save. Now I should be able to run around and see my player and join with another character. Let's see if that's the case. So I run around, looks good, I can jump, and I can join in, and everything seems to work. Let's go over to the next level. I go to this level, and I can run around with my first character, player 1, and I can join as player 2 on the second controller just by hitting a button, and everything seems to work. Let's go back over to level 1. Same thing, everything's looking good. So we'll stop playing, go to plastic, and say that we created a player input manager prefab. Let's see if I can get a space in there. And updated level 1. And we'll check that in.